We are about to journey to the turbulent space between the orbits of Venus and Mars, into the heart of ferocious solar storms, and into the center of a political and scientific race for answers. We will explore mysterious objects named 3I Atlas, 2025 V1 Borisov, and Act 2025 K1 Atlas. We'll look at blurry photos, redacted data, and celestial alignments that seem to form a magical axis of light connecting them to us, right here on Earth. This isn't just a story about astronomy. It's a story about perception, about the limits of our knowledge, and about the courage to embrace the unknown. So turn down the lights and look up. The universe is speaking. The question is, are we ready to listen? Our story begins not with a bang, but with a whisper. A faint, fleeting signature of light captured by a vigilant eye on Earth. On November 3, 2025, a strange new object was spotted hurtling through our solar system. Now, new objects are found all the time, but this one was different. Its location, its timing, its very nature. It was immediately unsettling. The discovery was made by Gennady Borisov from his private observatory Margot in Crimea. If that name sounds familiar, it should. Borisov is no amateur stargazer. He is the legendary astronomer who in 2019 discovered Heidi 2I Borisov Y, the second confirmed interstellar object ever observed in our solar system. He has a reputation for finding the travelers, the outsiders. So when Borisov announces he's found something new, the entire astronomical community sits up and pays attention. This new object was initially given the provisional, almost robotic-sounding designation, Jadoi Huanu Chatoi. Think of this as its temporary license plate. It's a raw identifier in the vast digital catalog of the cosmos, a string of characters assigned before we truly know what we're looking at. For a few days, if you wanted the raw data, the unfiltered, uninterpreted numbers on its trajectory and brightness, this was the name you had to search for. It's only later, after its orbit is confirmed to be something truly special, that it earns a formal name. See 2025 V1 Borisov. A tribute to its discoverer, a mark of its significance. But what made this object so immediately strange? First, its position. It was found streaking through the solar system on a path that placed it directly between Earth and another, far more famous interstellar enigma. 3I Atlas. Imagine two ships passing in the night on a vast, empty ocean. It's a rare event. Now imagine a tiny, silent submarine surfacing directly between them at that exact moment. The odds of that are not just low. They are startling. It felt deliberate. Second, its trajectory was bizarre. It appeared to be moving from below the ecliptic plane, the flat, disc-like level on which all the planets orbit the Sun. Most objects in our solar system play on this same flat field. This one was coming up from the basement, so to speak, on an inclined path that is a classic hallmark of an extrasolar visitor, a comet from the deep interstellar void. But the most perplexing feature, the one that truly baffled astronomers from the very first observation, was its appearance. Comets, as we know them, are essentially dirty snowballs. As they approach the Sun, the ice and frozen gases heat up and vaporize, creating a glowing atmosphere called a coma, and two distinct tails, a dust tail, pushed by solar radiation, and an ion tail, blown back by the solar wind. These tails are their defining characteristic. Yet in the initial report from Borisov himself, whose telescope is a state-of-the-art instrument, there was no mention of a tail. This wasn't due to poor visibility. The observation was clear. The object was simply tailless. In the days that followed, 10 separate observation reports were filed with the Minor Planet Electronic Circular, the official bulletin board for these kinds of discoveries managed by the International Astronomical Union. The reports created a confusing, contradictory picture. 8 out of the 10 observations confirmed Borisov's initial finding. No discernible tail. The object appeared as a stark, condensed point of light, a fuzzy star at best. But 2 reports, and only 2, noted a faint, ghostly tail, measuring between 50 and 72 arcseconds long. An arcsecond is a tiny unit of angular measurement. For perspective, the full moon is about 1/800 arcseconds across, so this tail was incredibly small and faint. More importantly, the results were uncertain and inconsistent. One observation saw a hint of something, the next saw nothing. It was like trying to see a puff of smoke in a thick fog. Astronomers were forced to a tentative but deeply unsettling conclusion. For all practical purposes, C2025 V1, Borisov, has no tail. It presents as a cloud of smoke or a dim, fuzzy core, but not a comet in the traditional sense. This is where the first red flag goes up, because this characteristic, this stark, tailless nature, made it eerily similar to the other interstellar object it was shadowing, the infamous 3I Atlas. The whispers started almost immediately. What if this smaller, dimmer, tailless object wasn't just a coincidence? What if it was connected to 3I Atlas? An intriguing, almost science fiction hypothesis began to circulate. What if a smaller object was launched from 3I Atlas, sent on a trajectory towards Earth? The characteristics, dim, small, tailless, would match Borisov's discovery perfectly. While this is pure speculation, the sheer improbability of 2 such unusual, tailless interstellar objects appearing on the same line of sight in the constellation Virgo has put that patch of sky in the intense spotlight of global astronomy. Is this just a fluke of cosmic geometry, or is it the first sign of a deeper, more complex phenomenon playing out right in our celestial backyard? The game was afoot, and a new mysterious player had just taken the board. To understand the significance of this new object, Borisov, we have to first understand the celebrity it appears to be shadowing. We have to talk about 3I Atlas. This object is not just a rock. It's a character in our unfolding drama. A stoic, silent protagonist that has done something no one thought possible. It survived a trial by fire. 3I Atlas stormed into our awareness as the third confirmed interstellar visitor. Unlike its predecessors, Oumuamua and 2I Borisov, this one was on a trajectory that would take it incredibly close to our Sun. This pass, known as perihelion, is the ultimate test for any comet. It's a violent, brutal encounter with the full, unshielded power of a star. Imagine a tiny ice cube flying past a blast furnace. That's what perihelion is like. The object is blasted with unimaginable levels of light, heat, and radiation. It's simultaneously sandblasted by the solar wind, a stream of charged particles traveling at over 1,000,000 miles per hour. For a typical comet, this is a moment of spectacular transformation. The ice vaporizes violently, creating massive, brilliant tails that can stretch for millions of miles. Sometimes, the comet can't handle the stress and simply disintegrates, breaking apart into a cloud of cosmic dust. Everyone expected 3I Atlas to put on a show, but 3I Atlas is not a typical comet. As it approached its perihelion in early November, something astonishing happened. Nothing. It refused to perform. It endured the inferno, and it did not change. Let's put this in perspective. Since October 21st, the Sun has been in a state of extreme agitation. Giant sunspots, some many times the size of Earth, have been seething on its surface. These regions have been erupting with a series of powerful solar storms, unleashing coronal mass ejections, CMEs, billion-ton clouds of plasma, directly into space. And by a strange quirk of orbital mechanics, these storms appeared to be heading directly towards 3I Atlas, almost as if the Sun itself was taking target practice. On November 5th, an observatory in Spain captured a new image of 3I Atlas, just after it had passed its closest point to the Sun. The astronomical community held its collective breath. This would be the moment of truth. The image came back, and the mystery only deepened. There was the faintest hint of a tail, a tiny smudge extending in the opposite direction of the Sun. But the color difference and poor contrast made it nearly impossible to analyze. The truly shocking revelation was the object's stability. There were no signs of strong evaporation, no long, brilliant tails, no evidence of eruptions or fragmentation. It had taken the Sun's absolute best shot, and it hadn't even flinched. It was as if a wooden ship had sailed through a Category 5 hurricane and emerged on the other side without a single scratch on its paint. On that very same day, November 5th, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory completed their latest orbital calculations. They compared the object's path on November 2nd and 3rd with its new position. They were looking for tiny deviations, a slight wobble caused by the outgassing of jets of gas and dust, which act like tiny rocket thrusters, pushing the comet slightly off its purely gravitational path. This is a standard effect seen in almost all comets. The results were stunning. 3I Atlas's acceleration due to this outgassing was significantly lower than predicted. In fact, it was almost negligible. It was flying like a solid inert rock, not a volatile ball of ice. This leads to a profound, paradigm-shifting question. Why is 3I Atlas so strangely stable? Is it because it's not a comet at all? Is it made mostly of metal and rock, more like an asteroid? If so, its brightness is a mystery, as rock is far less reflective than ice. Does it possess a composition of matter, a type of interstellar material that is fundamentally different from anything we have ever encountered? Or, as some have quietly wondered, does it harbor some unknown physical mechanism, a technology that allows it to withstand the harsh environment of a star? While we were grappling with these fundamental questions, a very human drama was unfolding around the quest for better data. The international astronomical community was desperately waiting for high-resolution images. The first hope was China's Tianwen-1 probe, which had a close encounter with 3I Atlas while orbiting Mars in early October. After weeks of silence and leaked rumors, the China National Space Center, CNSA, finally released an image. The result was a global disappointment. The photo was a blurry, low-resolution mess. It showed a faint bright spot against a dark background, but the quality was so poor it was scientifically useless. One exasperated expert quipped that it looked like it was filmed with a potato. It became a topic of memes and discussion, not valuable scientific data. The world's best hope then turned to NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, MRO, and its powerful high-rise camera, which was also in a position to photograph the object. The public, and even members of the U.S. Congress, began to pressure NASA to release the images. The demand grew so loud that a congresswoman formally wrote to the agency. NASA's response was infuriating. They stated they would release the data as soon as the ongoing U.S. government shutdown ended. The pursuit of one of the greatest mysteries in modern science was being held hostage by political gridlock on Earth. It was a stark, frustrating reminder that our quest for cosmic knowledge is often hampered by our own terrestrial squabbles. So here we are. We have a mysterious, resilient object that defies our models, surviving a journey that should have destroyed it. And the best images we have of it are either a blurry smudge from one space agency or are locked behind a political firewall by another. 3I Atlas remains a ghost, a silhouette. It moves at incredible speeds, endures the energy storms of our sun, has no tail, no eruptions, but still shines brightly, as if it holds a secret about a form of matter, a type of object, that humanity is only just beginning to comprehend. And now, a second, equally strange object has appeared in its shadow. If these two objects, 3I Atlas and C-2025 V1, Borisov, were the only strange things happening, It would already be one of the most compelling astronomical stories in decades. But the universe, it seems, was not done. It was adding more instruments to the orchestra, arranging them on the celestial stage in a way that was either a coincidence of jaw-dropping proportions or a piece of cosmic choreography. Let's introduce the third player in our cosmic triangle. C 2025 K1, Atlas. Discovered by the Atlas Sky Survey, the same program that found 3I Atlas, hence the shared name, this object is, in many ways, the control group. It is a stunningly beautiful, rare type of comet. It has a magnificent glowing tail, but instead of the usual brilliant white or ethereal blue, its tail radiates a rich, golden glow. This suggests a different chemical composition, perhaps rich in sodium, making it a fascinating object of study in its own right. Currently, this golden comet, K1 Atlas, is gracefully moving through the constellation Leo, the lion. Now, remember where our other two mysteries are? Both 3I Atlas and the newcomer Borisov are next door, in the constellation Virgo, the maiden. So we have this special triangle of space between Virgo and Leo that has become a hotbed of dense and surprising astronomical activity. This is where the story takes a turn towards the truly profound. Astronomers began using 3D solar system visualization tools, like the one developed by SkyLive, to reproduce the movements of these three mysterious visitors. They plugged in the precise ephemeris data from NASA, creating a living map of the universe. And as they played the simulation forward, they saw something that made them question everything. They noticed that from our perspective here on Earth, the three objects were drawing closer together in the night sky. On Friday, November 6, 2025. An observer would notice that the three celestial bodies, the golden comet K1 Atlas in Leo, and the two tailless enigmas, 3I Atlas and Borisov in Virgo, were forming a remarkably close cosmic arrangement. But it was 2 days later that the truly breathtaking event was predicted. On November 8th, the simulation showed them in an almost perfect alignment, a rare, fleeting phenomenon. Was this just a cosmic coincidence? Or was it, as some researchers began to wonder, a manifestation of a deep cosmic law, a pattern that was gradually being revealed to us? The alignments, however, didn't stop there. The simulation was about to reveal an even more shocking connection, one that seemed to link the very fury of our sun to this cosmic dance. Let's go back to those powerful solar storms we discussed, the ones that were erupting from the sun and seemingly targeting 3I Atlas since late October. Some observers had suggested a wild theory, that this activity might be related to the presence of yet another object, a comet known as A6 Lemon, which was moving through that same region of space. When the 3D model was adjusted to include A6 Lemon, a remarkable alignment became apparent. At the exact moment the sunspots were erupting towards 3I Atlas, the Earth, the Sun, and comet A6 Lemon were in a near-perfect straight line. This wasn't just a random solar flare, it was an eruption that occurred along a giant axis of planetary and cometary bodies. Let's be clear about what this suggests. It's not that the comet caused the solar flare, but in the complex electromagnetic environment of the solar system, such alignments can create gravitational and magnetic resonances, subtle effects that might, just might, influence the already volatile behavior of the Sun. The simulation showed that if you rewound the clock to November 5th, this alignment was still evident, creating a giant axis of energy between the Sun and Lemon. And the predictions were even more startling. According to the simulations, as Comet Lemon approaches its own perihelion, it will once again align with the Sun and Earth, increasing the likelihood that the Sun will continue to emit powerful bursts of radiation in this specific direction. Scientists began to predict that solar activity could remain dangerously high for days to come, all due to the resonance effect of this rare alignment. Now let's pull all these threads together. This is the moment the story moves from a collection of strange facts to a tapestry of profound mystery. On Friday, November 16th, the newcomer C-2025 V1 Borisov is calculated to reach its perihelion, its closest approach to the Sun. When you zoom in on the 3D map of the solar system for this date, you see an arrangement that is nothing short of magical. Borisov will be very close to the Sun, but high above the ecliptic plane. From our vantage point on Earth, it will form an almost perfect straight line with our planet and the Sun. And at that same moment, in that same line of sight, 3I Atlas will also appear in a corresponding position. For a fleeting moment, these three celestial bodies, the Earth we stand on, the mysterious tailless newcomer Borisov, and the resilient interstellar survivor 3I Atlas, will seem to blend into a single, magical axis of light. This is the event that has the astronomical community buzzing with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The phenomenon of this triple alignment is attracting special attention. Some argue it is nothing more than a beautiful mathematical coincidence, a quirk of orbital mechanics, but others, looking at the full picture, the two tailless objects, the solar storms, the alignment with Comet Lemon, the perfect timing of Borisov's arrival, are inclined to believe this could be something more. A mysterious cosmic signal, a message written in the language of orbits and light. Is this just a coincidence, a subtle reminder from the universe of an upcoming celestial event? Or is it a link in a chain of cosmic phenomena, governed by rules that we cannot yet fully understand? The answer still lies in the vastness of the stars, but for the first time, the patterns seem to be pointing directly at us. When faced with a series of events so strange and interconnected, it's natural to grasp for explanations. Some analysts have put forth a fascinating, if unsettling, idea. They argue that we shouldn't be so quick to label every interstellar object a comet or an asteroid. Our current models, they say, may be completely inadequate to describe their true nature. The universe might be sending us signals that force us to look at things with a more open and creative mind. This doesn't automatically mean we're talking about alien life or mysterious technology, but it does mean acknowledging the limits of our own understanding. One powerful analogy that has emerged is that of a simulation test. Perhaps the universe, or some aspect of it, is presenting humanity with a series of escalating challenges to our scientific and philosophical frameworks. We are being given scenarios that, until now, have only existed in theory or science fiction. How do we react? Do we cling to our old models, or do we adapt? Do we cooperate as a species, or do we let politics and secrecy get in the way? The test, it seems, is already underway. The increased solar activity is not just an abstract astronomical event. It has real-world consequences. In the past few days, Earth experienced a G3-class geomagnetic storm. This is a strong storm that causes powerful fluctuations in our planet's magnetic field. It can induce electrical currents in power grids, disrupt satellite communications, and create brilliant auroras far from the polar regions. And now, experts are warning that within the next 12 hours, another, even more intense storm could occur, a direct result of the solar activity amplified by these cosmic alignments. This coincides perfectly with the appearance of Borisov, which is currently moving very close to Earth's orbit, near the path of Venus. This timing has led many to question, is there a direct connection between the arrival of these interstellar objects and the sudden, violent awakening of our Sun? The most mysterious piece of this puzzle remains Borisov's tailless nature, a comet without a tail, passing between Earth and another, larger, tailless object, all while our star is in a state of high alert. This is a confluence of events so strange that it has many astronomers going back to re-examine all their data, all their assumptions. Is this a random natural phenomenon of breathtaking scale and complexity? Or is it the beginning of a series of cosmic events that have yet to be explained? We are being forced to confront the possibility that our comfortable understanding of the solar system is incomplete. This is where the story turns inward. It's no longer just about objects in space. It's about us. How we gather information, how we interpret it, and how we share it. The frustration over the blurry Chinese photo and the classified NASA images is a symptom of a larger problem. In a moment that calls for unprecedented global cooperation, we are faced with nationalism, secrecy, and bureaucracy. The universe is presenting us with a unified mystery, and we are responding with a fractured, disjointed effort. Some scientists believe that discoveries like 3I Atlas could play a critical role in our future survival as a species. Understanding the nature of interstellar matter, how it interacts with solar wind, and the resources it might contain, could be vital for long-term strategies like establishing colonies on moons like Ganymede, which is believed to hold vast reserves of water ice. These objects could be stepping stones, or they could be warnings. The faint light from these tiny distant objects could hold the answers to humanity's biggest questions. Are we alone in the universe? What is the true nature of matter? And what is our place in this grand cosmic design? But to find those answers, we must first pass the test. We must learn to see clearly, to think openly, and to work together. Because the universe is sending us signals, and it's becoming increasingly clear that they are not just for the astronomers. They are for all of us. As we stand here tonight on the cusp of the November 16th alignment, with more questions than answers, it's easy to feel small and overwhelmed. But within this grand, unfolding mystery lie powerful lessons, reflections of the cosmos that we can bring into our own lives, right here on Earth. This story, in the end, isn't just about the stars. It's about how we choose to navigate our own journey. The first lesson is the profound importance of an open mind. For centuries, we had a simple definition of a comet. It was a dirty snowball that grew a tail. Both 3I Atlas and C-2025 V1, Borisov, have shattered that simple definition. They are forcing scientists to throw out old models and confront the possibility that the universe is far more varied and complex than they ever imagined. In our own lives, how often do we operate on outdated models? We have fixed ideas about ourselves, about other people, about what is and isn't possible. This celestial story is a powerful call to intellectual humility. It teaches us to question our assumptions, to embrace ambiguity, and to be willing to say, "I don't know, but I am willing to learn." True growth, whether in science or in the soul, begins when we are brave enough to let go of the answers we thought we had. The second lesson comes from the alignments themselves, the power of seeing the bigger picture. Individually, each of these events is a curiosity. A weird comet, a solar flare, another new object. But when you use the tools to zoom out and see them all at once, you begin to see a pattern, a connection, a symphony. In our daily lives, we are often overwhelmed by individual events. A difficult day at work, a personal setback, an unexpected challenge. They can feel random, chaotic, and meaningless. But this story encourages us to step back, to look for the alignments in our own experience. How do these different events connect? What larger pattern are they a part of? Often, what feels like chaos up close is actually a part of a larger, more meaningful journey that we can only appreciate with a wider perspective. The third lesson is one of resilience, taught to us by 3I Atlas. This object is a survivor. It faced the full fury of a star, an environment of unimaginable hostility, and it endured. It held its core together and continued on its path, unchanged. We all face our own solar winds, periods of intense pressure, stress, and adversity that threaten to tear us apart. 3I Atlas is a cosmic metaphor for inner strength. It reminds us that our resilience comes from our core composition, from what we are truly made of on the inside. It asks us to consider, what is our core? What are the principles, the values, the beliefs that hold us together when the world around us is erupting in storms. Itaui. And finally, a crucial lesson from our human struggle to see these objects. The danger of operating with blurry information. The disappointment of the shan potato cam Saui image and the frustration of the classified NASA data are not just about astronomy. They are a parable for the modern age. We are constantly bombarded with incomplete, biased, and low-resolution information. We form strong opinions based on headlines, sound bites, and blurry pictures of reality. This story urges us to seek clarity, to demand better data, not just from our space agencies, but in our own lives, to question our sources, to resist the urge to jump to conclusions, and to have the wisdom to withhold judgment until we have a clearer picture. The universe is vast and mysterious, but it is also a mirror. In its silent, unfolding drama, we can see our own struggles, our own potential, and our own future. These visitors from the void are not just objects to be studied. They are teachers, and their lessons are waiting for anyone willing to look up and listen. So, as we await the coming days, the perihelion of Borisov, and the magical axis of light, the journey is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. Every new observation, every new image, will add another piece to this incredible puzzle. And that's why I want you to be a part of this journey with us. What do you think is happening out there in the darkness between the worlds? Are you on the side of mathematical coincidence, or do you believe we are witnessing a cosmic signal, a message in a bottle thrown across the interstellar ocean? What mystery, not of the universe, but of your own life, do you feel is on the verge of being solved? Leave your thoughts, your theories, and your questions in the comments below. I read every single one, and I truly believe that the collective curiosity of all of us is more powerful than any single telescope. Your idea, your question, might just be the one that opens up an entirely new way of looking at this whole mystery. If you want to continue to explore the universe, to question everything, and to be there for the next discovery, then subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. I will update you the moment there's a new development in this incredible unfolding story. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Keep looking up,